Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss bar cart bourbons. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Cailee Baker, Justine Mays, and Katie Joyce.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Howdy.
Hey.
Ew.
So, bar cart bourbons and how we're going to define these, there's no official definition or anything like that, but I would say that these would be available. So these would be out on display. Not necessarily all of us have bar carts, but if we did, I know Miss Beka Sue always had one, but if we did, these would be available to any guests that come over. So these are put out, so you can't put any of your special ones. You're like, oh, I don't want to share this with anybody. This is just, or I keep this for special occasions, or no one should ever put this in a mixer. These are anything goes bourbons. So it can be along the lines of value, but they don't have to be. Anything that you would have out there and available to individuals, and you're fine with whatever they do. And if they end up pouring it with Coke, you can't be like, hey, what are you doing? Nope, these are all, anything's game with these. So that's going to be what we're talking about, but we'll get to that after the break. For right now, Katie said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Katie?
Yeah. So in my office, in my law firm, I have a usual need for interns. It's actually my last intern actually became my paralegal and is now going to law school and going to join me in the future. But
Nice.
Usually start them out like filing papers, of organizing the files, etc. So my question for small talk is, in whiskey world, especially in an ABV network. So if there's an ABV network intern, what is it that they're going to be doing?
Okay.
Listening to every single show that exists.
Yes.
And putting,
which we determined would be over, 700 hours or something like that?
Oh, yeah, easily.
Definitely, I feel like the intern should listen to the shows and actually edit out the pieces that Steve says that he is going to edit out, but then
those are kind of iconic in their own way. But yes, I'll be like, all right, I'll edit that out. And then I never do. I mean, I just get to the show and I put it in there, and it just ends up in the show. We could do that. That could be, we could strip the shows of all those. I don't know if they'd want them out or not. It's kind of funny.
I feel like maybe they should be edited out, and then there should be like a blooper reel. Like when DVDs were like a major thing, like that was my favorite part of watching.
DVD,
was watching the bloopers.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Could be multiple jobs that come from listening to all the past shows. One, like cataloging, making indexes for reference points, but then also like pulling out clips to use for like future, like promotional materials, blooper reels, etc. of different clips. And that there could be quite a few tasks associated with listening to all the old shows.
Yes, I agree. And, it would be just so great to have all of that where we could then search it and find out different things. And, where McNew, we just did that show where we were doing some of the most iconic moments, and we don't even know what shows some of these are in. And again, when you've got almost 2,000 shows at this point, and I know our show number doesn't tie up to that, but again, we don't count weekends, we don't count bonus shows. Sometimes we've released up to 4 shows in a day when there's been things that are going on that people want to release on a specific day, and none of those counts other than the first one. So there's only one show per day, Monday through Friday, since we started December 1st, 2016. Then after that, it's anything else is considered a bonus show that's put out. So And I that's another thing. Should we rectify that situation? I don't know. That's maybe a different discussion, but it's a weird spot we're in right now because I feel like we should do that. But and that would be something I would do. Or if we had an intern could go back through because it's still just a lot of data entry into all the shows, changing all the numbers, updating them. That's a little project too. That's probably a week project right there for an intern. So that'd be some things.
Like that gum descriptor show we had, like make the intern send out samples of gum to everybody that's going to be on the podcast for the night, or like, samples of whatever bourbon we're going to be talking about and things like that. Make them the shipping
Great
bitch.
we could,
Hey,
we could be.
don't have a job.
we could be definitely more professional when it comes to stuff like that, as opposed to just taking a guess on some of these things. So there you go. If you're an intern, and we can talk.
Forgot the most important part.
Okay,
of an intern's job to get you coffee.
And coffee, yes, of course.
Actually, would it not be bourbon in this case? I mean, let's be honest. They're probably going to be grabbing bottles of bourbon for them.
Oh yeah, sure. So if we can convince your school into having in a nationally recognized bourbon media company, we definitely got some jobs to do. So let us know. Reach out to us. Send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. All right. What we're going to do next, we are going to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's see. I think I went with Justine last time. That means we're going to make her go first this time. Justine, you're up first.
I have a Yellowstone gift shop pick. This is Caitlin.
The Caitlin pick. Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. Kind of middle of the road, can be beat. Not necessarily though. We're going to go to Beka next. Beka, are you back on the horse or are you still just drinking some Bloody Marys?
Now I have a margarita.
Oh, margarita. I like how this is like healthy drinking to ease your back.
I like your hangover cure. This is excellent.
My husband went and got me Mexican food, so.
Okay. All right.
Margarita.
All right, Katie, what do you got?
I have, in honors of today's show, for my topic, I have 4 Roses.
Okay. Oh, that was pretty good. I think that might have been enough. Cailee, what do you think? We're going to have Cailee do the tiebreaker here. Justine or Katie? I think it's that close.
I think Justine's was a little bit better.
Okay,
I think,
that means
Katie's microphone might have failed her that time.
Time for a new one.
Wow.
It's out.
Okay. So that means Justine's got the lead. Cailee, you're next.
All right. I picked this bottle up this weekend because I have never seen it in my store, but it's a Smoke Wagon small batch straight bourbon whiskey from Nevada, H&C Distilling Co. So.
That stuff's almost cult-like. People love that. Oh, there we go. No, we didn't even have to have the earlier discussion. We've got a new leader. Cailee is the leader. I've got Whistle Pig 10-year-old. This is a DIY pick from our buddy OJ Lima. So this is before he started his company. This is predates that. This is when he was working with his buddy with the liquor store in New York. Ooh, that was pretty darn good. Not quite enough to catch Cailee, but a solid effort for sure. So, but Cailee, you win. Cheers, gang.
Woo! 2 in one night, man. This is great.
2 for 2. Cheers. All right. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, it's discussion time. We're going to be talking about this idea of bar cart bourbons and what should be on there. We'll do that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and I'm excited to announce a brand new partnership with Leatherwood Distillery in Pleasant View, Tennessee. Many of you have perhaps heard of Leatherwood via our co-host on the Bourbon Daily, Cailee Baker, who works there. Well, they're now an official sponsor of the network, and we look forward to everyone getting to know a little bit more about them. Company founder Andrew Lang brought his brewing and distilling hobby with him during his years of service as a Green Beret in the United States Army. Whether he was at his home base of Fort Campbell or during tours of duty in places like Italy or Afghanistan, Lang distilled whatever was available to him locally. We are excited about getting to know Andrew Lang and his team better via our programming and are planning a trip down there for the ABV Network crew very soon. In the meantime, check them out at leatherwooddistillery.com, where they will ship bottles directly to you, including their special Remembering 9/11 series, which is raising money for military charities. Seriously, get out there, buy some bottles, help a good cause, and let us know what you think. We're really excited about this partnership. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
This is also Freddie Mills going underneath the alias of Danny Kennard. You can find me on Facebook at any time. Just look up Danny Kennard, but I am Freddie Mills. Trust me.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking bar cart bourbons.
All right, I'm going to toss this to Beka first because she had this approach before. This is back in her North Dakota days. She doesn't have a bar cart now, but that's the kind of setup that she had. What's that?
Currently. I just don't currently have one.
You don't currently have one. Correct. Yeah, I don't know what ultimately is the plan when you get your house totally set up, how you want it, but you would have set up in your living room. I assume I was never at the place, but just based on what I saw in video, it looked like it was kind of your living room area. There would be people where people would congregate. There's this side area where there's kind of a bar set up, and any of those bottles are fair game. So what do you think? We'll start with you, Beka. What do you think some of the bottles that should be on, if anybody's having that kind of situation, what should be some items that are available to folks?
Well, and so one thing that I did with mine was I had it in two separate halves, where there was one half of it where it was kind of a more inconvenient spot to get to, where that was stuff you do not touch.
Right.
And it was obvious. It was like, do not touch this second table.
Right.
But the beginning of it was all stuff I didn't give a shit if anyone drank it. I think it's important to have a few different things on there. Like having an Old Crow on there is always good, because if someone wants to mix drinks, they can use Old Crow, mix it up with that. I think you need to have a really good rye that's going to be great to mix with, or for old fashions or Sazeracs, anything like that. And so any sort of like either high rye or just a rye whiskey is going to be good for on it. Like an Old Forester or, Eagle Rare or something like that. What else is going to be great for on the bar cart for bourbons? I mean, I think you always got to have Maker's Mark on there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's on my list too.
Like
I had that on my list too.
Yeah.
I had the classics
or the regular.
I had the classics. I also feel like Beam has a place on there, just the white label, because so many people just drink that. You don't know who's coming over. There's many people, that's all that they drink. And that's just one of those basic ones that people who are used to drinking it would want that. So I thought Beam, white label, and Makers are two good, really basic ones that people who don't drink a whole lot, but sometimes are imbibing bourbon, that might be something they're looking for. So I thought those are both good.
Yeah, Old Granddad Bonded is another one that you should.
That's a good one. because it's equally sippable as it is perfect for cocktails too. That's kind of right in the wheelhouse.
And Four Roses, the yellow label.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what we used this weekend at our wedding that we had to go to. It was pretty.
That might be still the best 80 proof bourbon. 80 proof is a tough proof if you're really into it, but that one does hold up in a cocktail. It's that high rye recipe, and it's good.
I have one more too.
Okay.
Any sort of Neely Family Distillery single barrel pick that I've done.
Just the ones that she's done.
So I just want to be clear, and again, of course, you're talking as a distillery owner. Hey, this is numbers through the gift shop. At the same time, is most people okay with the idea of, hey, this is amateurs pouring it with Coke and all that? Again, this being the bar cart thing, is that okay, or are people going to be like, shame? Why are you doing that? Why? Because these shouldn't be any that they get in trouble for, because that's part of our bar cart deal. Is anything goes.
As long as they're paying us money to buy those.
Yes, this is total distillery owner talk. I think anybody else
what you do with it. I would prefer you just sip it.
Right.
But if you've given us money, you can do whatever you want with it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Walk outside and pour it in the parking lot.
Yeah.
If it's on your bar cart, if somebody came over to your house and you had your Neely family pick on your bar cart, would you be mad if somebody mixed it with Coke? That's what the point is. It's like,
right.
You got to choose bourbons that anybody can drink and we would never be mad.
Right. Yeah. I do feel like most people, and again, the Neelys may be a little bit, because again, it's their product. They've sold it to the person that they can make that case. But I think most of us who have bought a Neely bottle, if we saw someone pouring with Coke, we might be like, what are you doing? And so it shouldn't be inside. Right. Yeah. You should buy the Neely. I wouldn't put it personally on my bar cart because I feel like it's too good for that. I feel like it's a sippable bourbon, and not that it's not a great bourbon. It is a great bourbon, but we are talking about a little bit different species in my mind for the most part with the bar cart. But again, I can't say Beka's wrong with what she's saying, especially as a company owner. I would say like whoever buys it, do whatever you want. So, yeah. Cailee, how about you on a bar cart? What are some ideas that you would have that would be?
Well, a big one for me is Buffalo Trace. And so especially it used to always be easy to find year round here in Missouri, St. Louis area. Now it's a little bit seasonal when you can get it, but I always keep enough of it in the house. I myself mix it with Coke Zero just because I like it. Like, I really should be.
I think it's a good mixer. Yeah.
So Buffalo Trace is definitely just on there always for me. Maker's Mark, that one especially because that was really the first whiskey that I found in my journey that I was like, "Ooh, what's this?" So I feel like it's a little bit sentimental there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to Rare Breed also goes on my list because I like mixing that one as well too with the higher proof.
Yeah.
And then I like to have something local, and so having something like from Wood Hat on there. For that local representation, I think is important to have too.
I think that's a good idea too. A good component. You want to get something that represents locally. Yeah. What are you thinking, Justine, would be something good on the bar cart?
So the only ones I can think of off the top of my head that have not been mentioned already, Wild Turkey 101.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a standard.
Yellowstone.
Yeah, I like Yellowstone.
And Evan Williams Bottle to Bob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will say Beka's had a good one. I like the idea of something that's a little bit tougher to find. So I like the idea of maybe Eagle Rare representing that, because even if someone's pouring that with Coke, it's hard to find, but it's not impossible. You can find that. So it's easy enough to replace. I like the idea of offering something that's a little bit special. I think maybe even a little bit higher dollar, but again, something that because it's bar card and someone's like, I'm just want to sip this. I want to get more. I think maybe like a 1920, because that's very easy to find. It's going to be more like $55, a little bit higher up when you're thinking of bar card. But at the same time, because you can replace it by going to any liquor store, or even grocery stores, it's an easy one to find. I think that's a good idea for my bar card. So, Cailee, last but not least, we'll ask you some of your ideas for it.
So I actually have a little bit of a bar cart. It's just a secondary shelf. It's actually, if you go to my Instagram and look at the giant hole in my ceiling that happened a few weeks ago, it's that shelf. In the in the bottom left corner of that brown shelf in my whiskey room, I have a bunch of 1.75 liter bottles. One being Eagle Rare, so I definitely agree with that. Evan Williams regular, just the black label.
Yeah.
And then I do have a Jim Beam white label over there. And I know it's not technically bourbon, but I have my Jack Daniels over there as well.
Oh yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'd definitely say Makers. Four Roses small batch is one of my favorites. I wouldn't mind if anybody mixed that with anything. It's really good mixer as well as a really good sipper. So I think there's lots of bourbons like that I wouldn't mind if somebody put in Coke. It might like make me cringe a little bit, but one of my favorite rules about whiskey is drink your whiskey the way you like it. Right. Don't let other people tell you how to drink your whiskey. And so like if you want to put a shot of Pappy Van Winkle in a Coke, I mean, you might hurt some people's feelings, but it's about what you like. So
right.
I'm just
I will say that the rule though is if you've got the bar cart, you say anything off the bar cart's fine, do whatever.
Yeah.
If they're snooping in your house and open up a cabinet that has your stuff that's off then you can yell at somebody because that's not allowed. That's
definitely.
That's a
definitely
foul.
Like you don't just go into somebody else's collection and you do that. But I will say
we need to tell this to my buddy Mark Hansen because he goes into he knows where I keep the good stuff. And he passes up the stuff that I have available for anybody and then goes straight to the good stuff. It's like, I want it out of here. So, the good shelf to me is this one behind me that's taller than me. And it's one that I only really break into if I'm doing a tasting for some people. Like if I have a couple friends come over and they want to taste like 5 to 10 bourbons, I'll pull off of different shelves. But it's kind of known that little shelf over there with the big old bottles on it. Yeah. Free game. So. All right. We'll do that show next weekend, Miss Beka Sue. The ones that are, what should you put away from folks? We'll do that show next week. That'll be a fun one. That's actually a good idea.
I mean, it's cool having it out.
Right.
But there's some things that like you and like Cailee said.
Like you had the division in your bar card. Yeah, so don't cross this line.
You do want to share with certain people.
Right.
And I do feel like the people that know that they're not those people, like they know that.
Right.
Because they know that
it's not picking on people. It's just like where are they at in their bourbon journey. If they're into bourbon, then you're willing to share with just about anybody actually. But if they don't know anything about bourbon, it doesn't do you any good to give the top your expensive stuff because they don't appreciate it. Right.
I have the couple that got married this weekend. My best friend Danny, he's a huge bourbon lover and like has kind of come along with me on my journey of loving bourbon. And then his new wife, she just joined us about maybe 2 years ago on a trip to Four Roses, actually liking bourbon. So when he comes over, I'll pour a glass for him, and then I know that she's just going to sip on the side. She's not going to want her own glass or anything like that. So you can kind of tailor those tastings to those kind of people.
Yeah. So there you go. There's some ideas on the bar cart. I think the bar cart's a good idea, and it does then kind of set up kind of exactly, hey, here you go. Do with what you like. I like making bourbon available like that for anybody that stops by. All right, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Cailee, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can come see me out at Leatherwood Distillery on most Friday nights and a lot more in the near future. And then also on Instagram at The Bourbon Bakers.
All right. Katie, how about you?
You can find me over on Instagram at Katie Proof.
All right. Justine.
You can find me on Instagram at JA_Maze. You can find our shop at abbnetwork.com and on Instagram at abbnetworkshop.
All right. Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right. For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, those abbnetwork.com, where everything that we do resides. We've got Bourbon Zeppelin, our email magazine is out there. We've got previous shows, our shop. We've got my book, so much more, abbnetwork.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps when people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right. Great job today, gang. For artists, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.